Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Learn to Play. This is how to make a macro build order, part 2 of a 3-part series. In part 1, we focused on ourselves. We went into single player. We made sure that our build was absolutely great. We got the maximum amount of workers at the fastest time possible. We then went into multiplayer and said, let's do the same thing and come at me with the attacks. We saw that we died in certain games, we defended in certain games, and we said to ourselves, well, the ones that we died in, let's go back and see, did we have enough units? Were we in position for our opponent? And do we need to make more units or different type of units? And we kind of backwards engineered that particular build. In part 2, we're going to be taking a look a lot deeper into our opponent's build and seeing whether or not it could be improved upon, whether it could be better, whether it could be faster or stronger, etc. And the reason why we do that when we're learning is that we need to be able to prepare for the Grandmaster level, right? It's kind of wasteful to say, hey, we're in Gold League, let's say, let's prepare for this Gold League timing, and then we go up to Platinum, and then we're like, oh, well, we should have prepared for the Platinum level timings because it comes 15 seconds faster. And then you keep doing that and keep doing that, and then realize the difference between Gold and Grandmaster is like a whole minute and a half, and you're like, well, why didn't I just have my build prepared for that 6-minute, 30-second timing instead of the 8-minute timing? This is why we want to make sure that we're not wasting time as we're going and ascending from Gold to Grandmaster. There are 3 bullet points that I always want to go over when we're looking at these replays. The first one is going to be, what is their plan and how aggressive they want to be? So is this a one and done type of attack, like a 4-gate, for example, where they do the 4-gate and they're pretty much dead after it's over? Or is this an economy behind aggression? So they're maybe getting an extra base, they are getting all of their gases, they're getting additional workers, that kind of stuff. The next thing we want to take a look at is the scalability and the triggers of our opponent's attacks. Does this attack scale as time goes on? For example, something like a Hellion and Marine attack, where they need a lot of Hellions, they need a lot of Marines, and they just produce them slowly out of all of their production structures, and they can attack from, let's say, 7 minutes and on, and they'll be a little bit better as time goes on. Or is it going to be a trigger attack? Perfect example is a Hellbat timing. When I get the armory and boom, I'm able to attack you right away because I could just transform my Hellions into Hellbats. The last thing I want to take a look at is looking for mistakes and how we can better improve our opponent's build order. So this is going to be very intensive and we need a lot of experience, but this is why we're going over the process, and this is why I think collaboration is the best, because there's nothing better than pooled experience between a group of people. So this is where we look for supply caps, whether the production structures are working at all times, whether the build can be improved with better units or a better upgrade, or even having our opponent's units in better positions. We need to assess all of these things because this is the way we're going to ascend to a higher level. Let's take a look at some examples and hop into replays. For our first example, we're going to take a look at this TVP where an Oracle is obliterating my base at a very early time. First, let's ask ourselves, what is their plan? How aggressive are they being? This is pretty aggressive. This is one of the fastest Oracles that we can see. Is this going to be a one and done, or is this economy behind this? I would say this is a one and done. If we could look back at the Nexus, we could see, wow, to get this Oracle out, he cut so much economy, so he has to do basically game-ending damage for him to be able to continue on. Right? No Nexus really able to be up here because he only has 11 workers mining his minerals. So this is most certainly going to be a one and done. It definitely can be economy, but it's more heavily weighted towards being some sort of one and done. 2, is this a scalability or trigger type of attack? Well, this is obvious. This is a trigger attack. He gets the Oracle, he's able to do a lot of damage. Normally against trigger attacks, we need a trigger type of defense. There are some situations where you could just mass and mass and mass and have a scalability type of defense, but that's normally very inefficient. And in this case, it would be a Widow Mine. It could definitely be a turret as well. It could be possibly a Viking, but you won't get a Viking out by 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So these are the type of things we're looking at. I already have the material to deal with this. The Widow Mine, if it was in position, it could deal with this Oracle, but it just was not. So that's how I'm going to alter my build slightly for this particular game. And the third thing we have to think about is whether or not this build can be improved upon. So let's go back and check this build and see how he created it. So right away we can see that there's no first chrono boost onto this Nexus, so this is the fastest gateway. Of course we have the fastest gateway, we have everything else that's going to be the fastest as well, right? Cybercore, Stargate, and the eventual Oracle. Cybernetics Core going to be placed down immediately, and he's just mining as fast as possible. Also note, second pylon is going to be placed next to my base. Now we have to ask ourselves, are there better places for this pylon to be a little bit quicker? I mean, this is a pretty fast distance, right? Maybe 5 or 10 seconds for the Oracle. Maybe around here, maybe even inside my base would be nice, but those are all very hard to do, and they'll go scouted a lot of the times. So in this position, I think this is one of the fastest places that the Stargate can start and the Oracle can be in my base. And just thinking and theory crafting a little bit, if it started at our opponent's base, it would be 20 seconds or 30 seconds it takes. It's map dependent, but 20 or 30 seconds by the time the Oracle makes it to our base. So this sheds off a lot of time for this first Oracle. Let's go ahead and move on, make sure that constant chrono boosts are being allocated towards this Oracle. Immediate Stargate, so everything looks very, very strong. And the Oracle is going to be chrono boosted immediately. So I can't really find any place where we could do a little bit better with this Oracle, right? We've basically made it the absolute fastest. We've even proxied it. We got the second pylon there, so we don't have wasted minerals elsewhere. You can see that he only has 2 pylons out in the field with well, the third one just starting right now. So this is just the most brutally efficient Oracle you can get in the game. That's it. This is Grandmaster level. And now we do exactly what we did in part 1. Part 1, we just said, do we have the material? Are we out of position? Can we deal with this? Do we need to supply cut? And we build the defense. So some people will make a bunker here starting at 5 minutes and 20 seconds minus about 50 seconds for the bunker to build, right? 40 seconds for it to build, 10 seconds just to have that little leeway. So, you know, in case the Oracle gets in there, you know, at the same time your bunker is building, would be a bad situation. Some people would like the engineering bay and the turret. Some people are just going to rely on this Widow Mine to deal with it. It's all how you want to play. It's all going to be based off of your play style. Let's take a look at another example now. Let's step into this Terran versus Zerg now. We're at the 8-minute 45-second mark. We have a couple of Hellions here. We have Marines. We have 2 Reapers. All looks okay. First bullet point. Is this all-out aggression, or is this some sort of economy behind some harassment? And we can see right here a command center. So this is not going to be, you know, Zerg kills this and the game is won, right? That means we can't over-defend against this. If we over-defend against this, we lose out in the economy. So we need to be very precise when we're dealing with this type of attack. Also, I forgot to mention combat shields. Combat shields is going to be one of the triggers for this upcoming attack. The second thing we want to establish is this a scalability type of attack, or is this a trigger attack? I would say it's somewhere in the middle, right? Hellion Marines, we talked about this before, scales like crazy, but the combat shield is going to be the trigger that gives it a little bit more boost. So we need to scale the army as well. We need the corresponding Zerglings. We probably need some Banelings to deal with the combat shielded Marines. That's why we have what we have right here. And the third thing is, let's go ahead and take a look at the build and see what we could improve if we are in the Terran shoes to make this a little bit stronger, a little bit faster. Or is this the absolute fastest? Is all we can do at 8 minutes and 45 seconds attack with 2 Reapers, 8 Hellions, and 16 Marines? Let's go to the beginning and find out. So starting things off, this is going to be a Reaper expand. The main things we want to check first before we actually go into the build of things is whether or not he's able to constantly produce, not be supply capped, no mistakes, right? If he has mistakes, then we're clearly going to see a huge spike in units that he should have had that he didn't have. and then we'll kind of analyze the build. So I'm going to just speed across this, and we're going to just take a look at making sure all these production structures are working. So we're just going to stay on this tab and take a look. You can see pretty much constant production, a little bit, a marine here and there that could have been being made. I would say maybe 1 or 2 marines that could have been made that didn't get made. Okay, now let's go back and analyze the build, right? And let's really see if we could adjust the build to maybe be a little bit faster or better. Did we get the factory at the fastest time, etc. So, same thing. So we see that the barracks are coming out as soon as he accrues 50 minerals for each of these. There's no bunker in the front. I really like this. I mean, if we got the bunker, it would slow down the barracks quite substantially. So this is just brutally efficient in getting our production structures out as fast as possible. Let's also see and move on. Switching over, everything looks fine. I would say maybe there's a slight variation where we could put the tech lab barracks up here, just so it doesn't have to travel so far. That's very tiny minor though. Also, to note, he takes workers off gas here. Now, I'm going to be critical on this and say, what if we kept workers on gas? This is why they were all naked barracks, by the way. And it's a rule of thumb that if you're choosing between naked barracks and a barracks with a reactor, if you actually do the math, it's 100 seconds is when both of the barracks will meet in production. So both barracks will produce 4 marines in total. But if there's any attacks after 100 seconds, you should be getting a reactor on the barracks because you can actually produce more. So I'm going to be critical of my opponent here and say he should be getting reactors, so he should constantly be getting a lot of gas. And I can say, oh, well, I can do the math right here and say the barracks is going to finish in just about 6 minutes, right? And I'm going to do 6 minutes plus 100 seconds, which is going to bring us to 7 minutes and 40 seconds for sure. If my attack is at 840, I should be putting reactors on these babies and going from there. So that's one slight adjustment. If we count up all the marines, we're thinking anywhere from around 6 to 8 marines that we're missing out on from the optimal, right? The absolute fastest that we can get. So we're seeing, making sure, we already know the production is fine. Can we add on more barracks? We definitely can. This could be a lot more all in, but we already know this is going to be command center behind this. So it kind of gives us indicators that if they want to do an economic driven opening off of 2 base, well, rather 3 barracks and a factory before going command center, then they can't do anything else more substantial than this. And that's about it. Let's now think, are there any other units that we can incorporate that are better, right? Is there anything that we can add on to this? So would a medevac really change the landscape of how this build works out? Will it change like the potency? I would say probably not that much, right? It's still going to be relatively the same strength. Same thing with Widow Mines. I don't think Widow Mines is going to do that much. The one thing I would say is probably Hellbats, right? You could see Hellbats being really powerful in this combination, maybe even Stim being really powerful in this combination. Stim is going to mean that the timing is slightly later, about a minute later, since this is 110 seconds, this is 170. But Hellbats is very interesting, right? So what's the earliest that we can get Hellbats out? And it's going to be 65 seconds after the factory is finished. So let's go back and find out when the factory finishes right now. This is a double Reaper opening and then a factory directly after this. So we're seeing that it's 5 minutes and 20 seconds. That means the armory can start at will start at 5:20 and end at around 6:30, right? So we can have Hellbats out at 6:30, 7 minutes. Let's also take a look at how many Hellions he can have out in the field. So at 6 minutes and 25 seconds, the first 2 Hellions will pop out into the field. It takes about 20 seconds to move over to the map. So that's at 6:45. 2 Hellbats can be up, right? And then after that, every 30 seconds, 2 additional Hellbats will be across the map. So really, we're looking at the earliest, like, what's reasonable? 4 Hellbats, maybe? 4 Hellbats at about 7 minutes and 45 seconds. That's pretty late. So we know it's a scaling type of build, And it's also a trigger build, right? It's kind of a hybrid between the both. The scaling is with the Hellions and the Marines, and then the trigger is going to be the combat shield and the potential Hellbats. So we know when this attack comes at 840, we're missing about 6 to 8 Marines just because of the reactors that could have been on the barracks. And these could have also been Hellbats, right? So let's go to the Units tab once again and say, look at it. It's 13, but really we want to look at the Marines that are right here. So it's 7 right now. This is at 818. Let's move forward a little bit. It's at 845, where we were talking about before. So it is a total of 10 Marines. There should be an extra 6 to 8 Marines. Let's just be conservative and say 8 Marines should be here, right? So there should be 8 Marines, 18 in total at this attack. We're going to have these Hellions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There should be an 8th one. So there should be 8 Hellions here, 16 Marines at this location, 16 to 18 rather, and there should be Hellbats up. So at 845, I need to be able to deal with this. What do I deal with? Now we go back to part 1. So we reverse engineer the build. We say, okay, against 16 or 18 Marines, I need like 20 Zerglings. I probably need a good amount of Banelings for the Hellbats. So let's say around 10 Banelings. So 20 Zerglings, 10 Banelings. I'll be able to deal with this, no problem. That's how I'm going to defend against this aggression. And from there, we're going to be able to stop this. So what we did was we took a game where I actually crushed this attack, but we're still able to derive how to get better and how to play against quote-unquote grandmaster players, right? Because now we have the timings against, you know, people that have 0 mistakes, that they make all their reactors, that they have constant production through their Marines, that they're getting one of the strongest builds that you can have at this 845 mark, and we're able to crush it. We're able to prepare for that really nicely. And even if we go back and see what I had to deal with, I mean, I was crushing it with 27 Zerglings and just a handful of Banelings, right? It was just only 3 for here. That's not that many. So maybe you don't need that many. You don't need that many Banelings because, well, I mean, it's combat shield Marines. It might be Hellbats that you definitely might need them there, but maybe the Queens are going to be able to deal with those. Still, you need to go in, try it for yourself, really feel it out, and then adjust your build accordingly. And this is how we constantly get better and better and better against all these different attacks. And also, we scale a lot better as we move up and ascend in ranks. So you can see already why it's important to have a well-balanced diet of StarCraft. Have a little bit of Zerg, a little bit of Terran, and a little bit of Protoss. It's because it empowers your race. It lets you know what you're capable of and what your opponents are capable of. It's no wonder why MC, one of the best Protosses to ever touch the stage in StarCraft 2, is also Grandmaster in Zerg and crushes with Terran. It's because he has to understand the other races in order to know what the other races are capable of when he's playing those matchups. That's why all the top knows how to play the other races at a near Grandmaster level or a Grandmaster level. At the very least, knows exactly what the timings and what their opponents are capable of if they don't know the mechanics already. So that being said, that's part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to go on to part 3 for our next episode. That's going to feature scouting and ranges. I hope I see you guys there.